A very good morning to all my dear students. Today the topic of our lecture is configuration of transistors. Configuration of transistors mean that what are the various configuration of transistor in which they can work. The first and very prior configuration is the common base configuration. Then we have the common emitter configuration, and then we have the common collector configuration. So for all the three terminals of transistor, we have three basic configurations, which are termed as common base, common collector, and common emitter. Now, why this term common is given to them? Because for any configuration, for any calculation of input and output characteristics of any transistor, we need to have two terminals as input and two terminals as the output. But in case of a transistor, we have three terminals. Transistor is a three terminal device. It has emitter, base, and collector. So we don't have the fourth terminal in case of transistor. So in order to create a fourth terminal, we need to make one terminal as common. We need to make one terminal as common, and that terminal is taken as it may be taken as your emitter, it can be taken as your base, it can be taken as your collector. So while making this common terminal, we always make one terminal as common. So for in case of common base, we make base common with the input and output, so that is termed as common base. So when emitter is made in common with input and output, then it's termed as common emitter. And when collector is made common with both the this input and output, it's known as a common collector configuration. Okay, so let's start with this topic now. What is the role of base? First of all, what is the role of base? The thickness of the unmodified base region has to be just right, too thin, and the base would essentially vanish. Actually, the row base plays a very important role, although it doesn't contribute in the current generation, but yet it plays a very important role when it comes to the transference or generation of current in case of your transistors. Okay, so how it plays an important role? How it plays an important role? First of all, we need to know about this first. It plays an important role as a base when it is very, very thick. If we make the base very thick, what happens? Will there be transfer of current through them? No. There will be no transference of charge carriers if the base is made very thick. So if the base is made very thin, then the all the particles will just pass it without anything, and the base will just vanish. So that is also not desirable. So not too thick and not too thin. The size of base matters a lot. If the base is made so large, the base is made so small, the base is made so thick, base is made so thin. All these four characteristics in which we have extreme conditions, they are not desirable for the base configuration. So we need to have a base which have characteristics which are not so thin, not so thick, not so thin, so that it can allow the transference of charge carriers from the emitter to collector. So it is to be made in such a way. The emitter and collector would then form a continuous piece of semiconductor. So current would flow between them, whatever the base potential. So if the base is made very thin, the base would vanish, and it will have only two junctions, that is emitter and collector, and it will act as a continuous piece of semiconductor device. There will be no barrier, there will be no depletion layer between, there will be no potential barrier between them, and that will just vanish the base. Too thick and electrons entering the base from the emitter wouldn't notice the collector, as it would be too far away. If the base is made too thick, if we made it too thick, then also it becomes a difficulty for your this base particles, the charge particles which are going to be transferred from the emitter towards the collector section. It becomes difficult for them to transfer themselves from the emitter towards collector. Why it becomes difficult? It becomes difficult because if the base is made so thick, the transference of the transference of charge particles would not be possible, because the collector becomes very far. The base is made so thick, it can't even penetrate through that base region. towards a collector region. So that will also hinder the performance of transistor as the current will decrease. The amount of current generated will be decreasing in case of your base is made so thick. So then the current would be all between the emitter and base, and there would be no emitter collector current. So the current, yes, of course, if the base is made so thick, there will be no transference of charge particles, charge carriers from the emitter towards a collector, and they will be only acting between the emitter and base, and there will be no current. There will be no current for those of your current for that of your collector. There will be no current for your collectors, and it can hinder your device. So that is must in this case to have that a kind of a base which is quite appropriate, which is quite appropriate for both the conditions. Whether it is your emitter, whether it's base or whether it's collector. It shouldn't be made very thick, it shouldn't be made very thin. It should be of that size which can be applicable easily for the configuration of the transistors. So let's move further. Amplification properties. The common base voltage junction, the collector base voltage junction operates near breakdown. The collector base voltage, yes, it operates near the breakdown region. This ensures that a small emitter base voltage causes avalanche, a large current to the device. So because this collector base voltage junction operates near breakdown, because a very high reverse bias voltage applied to the collector base junction, as we have seen in the previous slides yesterday, that we were just applying the 1.5 volts emitter base junction, which was very low, but we apply a very high collector base voltage, which creates a kind of breakdown region, and that breakdown will create an avalanche kind of condition in which the extra charge carriers are being generated, knocked out from the structure of the crystal structure of the semiconductor, which will it will result in the large generation of current to the device. Then the configurations of transistors. What are the basic configuration of transistors? One is your common base transistor, then is a common emitter transistor, then we have the common collector transistor. Now, as I have told you already, in case of common base, we have the base terminal as common between the input and output terminals. Why it is made common? Because we need to have two input terminals and two output terminals, but on the whole transistor has only three terminals. So we need to make one terminal as common in each of the configuration. So in case of common base transistors, we have base as a common terminal, and it is made common with the input and output terminals. Similarly, in case of common emitter transistors, we have emitter terminal as common. We make emitter terminal as common with the input and output, and it makes the two terminals for input and two terminals for the output. Similarly, for your common collector transistors, we have collector terminal as common between the input and output. Okay, and this can act as a common collector transistors. So let's move further. Before starting with this, I would just like to have a little kind of a elaborate session on this common base. So let's start with it. So when we talk about the transistors, we have some basic terms for transistor, like we have the meter efficiency and the transistor. Now, how can we say that our meter is mismatch efficient? How can we say this?
हेलो सर
सर आवाज नहीं आती भी
सर आवाज नहीं आ रही सर
So when we talk about the meter, what do you mean by a meter efficiency? A meter efficiency is basically the kind of efficient factor that we need to reduce while we are talking about the emitter, base, and collector, which are three terminals of your transistor. When we talk about all of these three terminals, we need to talk about the efficiency factors also about all of these emitter, base, and collector. So what is the efficient vectors, or what are the values which make our system efficient? So that we need to know about this. So first of all, we talk about the emitter efficiency. Emitter efficiency is denoted by gamma. It is noted by gamma, and gamma is given by current of injected carriers at junction emitter. At junction emitter means at the emitter junction, what are the amount of injected charge carriers that are being injected inside that emitter. So amount of current of injected charge carriers at junction emitter to a total emitter current, because we know that emitter has a high concentration of dopants inside them. They have a high concentration of dopants, isn't it? So when the high concentration of dopants are added to them, that means they have the concentration of injected charge carriers. Injected charge carriers upon the emitter junction. So amount of injected charge carriers and the current generated because of those injected charge carriers upon the total emitter current. Upon total emitter current is defined as what? It is defined as your emitter efficiency. Similarly, when we talk about your transport factor, so it is mathematically is given by IHE by IE. IHE by IE. IHE by IE, what do you mean by this? Because we were talking about your PNP transistor. Yesterday we have drawn the diagram for this in current components, and we took the example of PNP configuration in that case. So PNP means the emitter junction is P-type material. And in case of P-type material, we have the majority charge carriers as, what are the majority charge carriers in case of P-type materials? In case of majority charge carrier, in case of P-type material is your holes. So we have the holes as a majority charge carriers over there. So IHE, that is amount of injected charge carriers upon EIE. It's a total emitter current. So amount of injected charge carriers upon the emitter current is termed as your emitter efficiency. Then if we talk about the transport factor, what do you mean by transport factor? Transport factor, as the name suggests, it is a depiction of the transportation of charge carriers from the one region to the other region. When we talk about transportation factor, we are talking about the transportation of the charge carriers. Now, how this transportation of charge carriers actually occurs, that we need to know over here. The transportation factor is given by beta. The transportation factor is given by beta, and beta is equal to injected carrier current at JC. Injected carrier current at JC means how much is the amount of injection or the dopants which are being added at the junction. Which junction? At the junction of collector. At the collector junction, amount of dopants which are being added to them. At the collector junction, number of dopants which are added to them is termed as your junction collector upon injected carriers at junction emitter. Now, what is the amount of dopants which were added at the collector junction? First of all, upon number of injected charge carriers at the emitter junction. So, collector and emitter, two junctions we are talking about over here, and base is the only base is actually as acting as a transport media for the emitter of passage of the charge carriers from emitter towards the collector. So here the transportation factor is actually denoted for the this base junction, which is actually transporting those injected charge carriers from the emitter junction towards the collector junction. Now in this case we have the injected charge carriers for at the junction collector upon injected charge carriers at the junction emitter, and mathematically that is given by beta. Mathematically, it is given by noted by beta, and beta is always equal to IHC by IHE. IHC by IHE means what? It means what? IHC by IHE means amount of the concentration of the majority charge carriers in the collector junction. C here stands for collector, and majority charge carriers in case of PNP transistor is your holes. So holes is denoted by H. So IHC, I is the current, H is the holes or the majority charge carriers which are present in the PNP transistors in case of emitter and case of collector also. And similarly this E is the emitter junction, holes is another point for this majority charge carriers in case of emitter, that is the holes, and I is the current. Therefore IHC by IHE is the ratio, or it is the ratio of the injected charge carriers upon the in the collector junction and in case of your emitter junction. So that is all about the two transport factors which we are talking about and their. So these are the basic three configurations of transistors which are commonly used in case of transistors. The first one is a common base configuration. This common base configuration shows us what? Here the base is made common with the input and output. Now as you can see it very well, this is a meter, this is a transistor schematic diagram or the symbolic representation of any transistor. Now how the base has been made common in this circuit is like this. This is normally a base. The arrowhead is always the emitter and the second leg is the collector. So this the base is made common. That means it is in this position, and base is made common with the input as well as the output section. This becomes your emitter. This is your collector, and the base is made common over here. So this part becomes your input. The two terminals of input devices and the two terminals of output as with the base and collector as common. So emitter base becomes the input section over here, and collector base becomes the output section in case of your common base configuration. Emitter base becomes the input for the common base and collector base becomes the output section for the collector base. So in this case, this is your common base configuration. The second worthy point that is to be noted down over here is the common terminal is always grounded. It is always grounded. So the common terminal, the base terminal is grounded so that no excess current flows out of this. Then we have the common emitter configuration. Now this is your common emitter configuration. Now what do you mean by common emitter configuration? In this case, the emitter terminal is made common. In case of common emitter, the emitter terminal is made common. And how this configuration is made common or emitter is made common now? We can see it very well. This is the base terminal. The emitter leg is made common over here. It is made common with the input as well as with the output section. This is your output section. It is made common with the input as well as output section. That means the base emitter becomes your input and collector emitter becomes your output section. Base emitter becomes the input and collector emitter becomes the output for the common emitter configuration. And one of the most peculiar property of common emitter configuration is that common emitter terminal configuration is the most widely used configuration of transistors. Why so? Because it has the most efficient circuit representation and it can be used as a transistor as an amplifier also. Because we all know that transistor has an application as an amplifier. So transistor as an amplifier, whenever the transistor as an amplifier is acting out, the common emitter configuration is basically done in order to make it work as a common transistor as an amplifier. The third one is your common collector configuration. Common collector configuration. That is a CC configuration. In this case also we have the collector is made common with both the input and output. We have this is the input, this is your output, and this is made common with the input and output sections. And similarly, we can get the values out of that in that accordingly. So this base and collector is actually acting as the collector base actually acting as your what? It is acting as your input section for the common collector configuration. And similarly, the collector emitter is acting as the output section for the common collector configuration. Collector emitter is acting as output section, and collector base is acting as the input section for the common collector configuration. So these are three basic configurations which are commonly used in case of your transistor. Okay, so this is the basic circuitry for the common base configuration. We are going to discuss about the input characteristics of the common base configuration. So we have for any configuration, we have basically two kinds of characteristics. One is the input characteristics and one is your output characteristics. So first of all, we'll be talking about the input characteristics of this common base. Before starting with this input characteristics, let us discuss about firstly primarily about this circuit or presentation of common base configuration. Now in this case of common base, a base is made common and it is grounded. The base is made common and it is grounded. The input section consists of the emitter base voltage and the output section consists of the collector base voltage. Emitter current flows in the input section and collectors in the case of your output section, the collector base junction, the collector current flows. The emitter current is flowing in case of your input section of the this input characteristics of this common base configuration, and in case of the output characteristics we are having a output current, that is your IC. Okay, so whenever we talk about the amplification factor, the amplification factor is given by alpha is given by what? Alpha, the amplification factor was given by alpha is equal to IC by IE. That is the amount of output current by the input current. And we have a negative sign is also represented with this. Why this negative sign is given over here? Because the emitter current flows out of the transistor over here. But conventionally, the conventional sign shows that it is flowing out of it. But actually, the emitter current is flowing inside the transistor. But this current representation is shown towards outside factor. So a negative sign is shown over here. Negative sign shows here that it is flowing in the opposite direction over here. It is a conventional flow of current. But actually that emitter current flows inside the transistor. Why so? Why this is shown outwards? Because the case is for the NPN transistor. Similarly, if you have taken the case of PNP transistor, then what would happen? Then the direction of arrowhead would have been inside. So in that case, there would have been not a negative sign over here. Negative sign is only for an NPN transistors, because in this case, the actual flow of current is shown outwards and the output current is flown inwards. The output current should flow out and inward current should flow in. But there is the opposite flow of currents. So that is why we have represented the negative sign over here. But it is just for representation. We never use this negative sign in calculation purpose, because it is just the representation of these arrowheads. For this representation, we can say that it is flowing outwards and we can represent with a negative sign. But we can omit it also. There is no particular reason. But we should know this, why this negative sign is always given over here. In case of NPN transistor, I'm repeating once again, just listen very carefully, it's very important. In case of NPN transistors, what is actually happening is the emitter current is flowing out of the transistor. It is shown in this direction. In case of common base, it becomes like this. So it is flowing out of it. So out of it means it should, but actually it should flow inside. So it is a negative sign is represented over here. And similarly, the collector current is flowing in what direction? It is flowing inward the transistor, but it should flow out of the transistor. So we have shown a negative sign. But if we have taken the case of PNP transistors, if we have taken the case of PNP transistors, then what would have had happened? Then we could have replaced this arrowhead like this. It would have been like this, isn't it? It would have been like this. So in that case, it would have been inside. The direction of the arrow would have been like this in case of the PNP transistor, isn't it? So in that case, it would have been positive. But it is special case of NPN, so it is flown outward. That is why I've taken the NPN transistor over here, so that this concept is also very much clear in your mind. That is why I've taken the NPN transistor over here. Okay, so the values remain the same, but the representation becomes different. So we are always providing the emitter base with the forward bias and collector base with the reverse bias. So we have taken this circuitry over here. Emitter base is given what? It is given a forward bias voltage. It is given the forward bias voltage. Forward bias voltage means we have given the representation of forward bias voltage over here. The negative side is given the negative terminal, and the positive side is given to the negative terminal over here. That means it is reverse bias voltage. Collector base is reverse bias and emitter base is forward bias in case of your what? In case of your NPN transistor of the common base configuration. Now this is all about your in circuit representation of common base. Then we move on towards the input characteristics of the common base configuration. When we talk about the input characteristics of common base configuration, what we're going to talk about, what is the input characteristics of common base configuration? In case of its input characteristics, we can represent input means this is your input section. This part is actually your input section, this part, and this part is your output section. So we can say this is your input and this part is your output. Okay. And these terminals are made common for the input and output, taking the base as common. So this input terminal we have which current? Current is your emitter current, and the voltage is what? The voltage is emitter and base. This is your voltage, emitter and base. The voltage terminals are for emitter and base. So voltage becomes across VEB for input section. The voltage is input voltage is VEB and input current is IE. It is IE. It is represented by I and E. So IE is the input current and VEB is the input voltage. So this is the characteristic which is drawn between them. So it is drawn between the input voltage VEB, and we all know that voltage is taken always across which axis? It is taken across the which axis? It is always taken across the x-axis, and the current is taken across the y-axis. The current is always taken across the y-axis. So it is drawn between the voltage across the emitter base junction and the current for the emitter, that is IE and VEB. And what is in case of your silicon? If you're taking, suppose here the transistor is silicon made, and for silicon, what is the operating voltage for silicon? What is the operating voltage for silicon? For silicon, we have the operating voltage of 0.7 volt. This 0.7 volt, and for germanium, it is 0.3 volt. Well, now, what are these 0.7 and 0.3 volts? These are the operating voltages for the for what? For your silicon and germanium semiconductors. In case of silicon, we have 0.7 volt. It means what? It means that in case of your silicon characteristics, the operating voltage that at this voltage until or unless the transistor has reached this operating voltage, it won't work. It won't work under 0.7 volt until or unless the transistor has reached the 0.7 volt. Then only it start working. Then only characteristics of its transistor start working. So 0.7 volt is the voltage that is necessary to work for a transistor in case of your silicon, and 0.3 volt is the voltage that is necessary to work for germanium made transistors to work in a characteristic way. So 0.7 volt is over here. So like this, it goes on moving. It starts like this, and as soon as the voltage has reached the 0.7 volt, with a little increase in the value of the emitter base voltage, there is a sharp increase in the value of your what? In the value of your emitter current, and keeping the different levels of VCBs as constant. As we go on increasing the value of VCB, there is increase in the amount of emitter current, but VCB doesn't produce. VCB means which voltage? VCB is kept constant over here at different levels of emitter base voltage. VCB at 0 volt will provide a high jerk in the amount of current, okay, as we are increasing the value of VEB. VCB is kept constant first at 0 volt, then VCB is kept constant 1 volt, and then VCB is kept constant at 6 volts. But here there is abrupt increase in the amount of emitter current with the variation of the emitter base voltage. But the VCB, the collector base voltage, hardly produces any flicker in the amount of increase in the current as we move on from 0 to 6 volt. We always keep VCB at constant for 0 volt, and we take the random readings of emitter base voltage, and we see how much is the rise for the emitter current. Then we take VCB at 1 volt, and we go on changing the emitter base voltage, and we noticeably read the value of emitter current. And then finally we take VCB constant at 6 volt, and we keep on changing the amount of emitter base voltage, and we note the value of emitter current with its change. So we can see that there is a change. There is a change with the amount of variation, but there is a very little change. But with a small increase in the emitter base voltage, it produces a steeper rise. You can see it over here. The amount of emitter base voltage is not made very high, but there is a start, there is an abrupt increase in the amount of emitter current. Why it is so? Because emitter base is forward biased and it is offering the low dynamic resistance, isn't it? This means what? The resistance value is low. If there is a small increase in emitter voltage produces a high value of current. That means what? It means that the value of resistance in this case is very less. The resistance is in this case is very less. Resistance in case of your this common base configuration input resistance is very low because it produces a high amount of increase in the current with increase of voltage. So the low dynamic input resistance is equal to ratio of change of the emitter base voltage to the change of emitter current. This delta states that was delta is the change in the amount of emitter base voltage. Delta stands for change, small change. Okay, delta stands for small change in the value of emitter base voltage to the value of change in the emitter current. That is your low dynamic resistance, keeping VCB as constant. We have kept VCB as constant over here. Keeping VCB as constant, we have produced a value of change of the resistance with respect to emitter base voltage and the emitter current. So this is the main characteristics of the input voltage of the value of current and voltage. We respectively make the constant values of emitter and voltage, and keeping VCB as constant, we have drawn the graph between the emitter base voltage and the emitter current.